Are we ready for some constitutional education? I hope so, because that's what's coming up on Thoughts from Flyover Country. Hey, I'm back with Thoughts from Flyover Country. As I said last time out, I was going to talk about the red flag laws and their innate violation of the Constitution on so many levels. So we're going to get right into that. As I said earlier, it's not just the Second Amendment. It's the Fourth Amendment. It's the Fifth Amendment. It's the Sixth Amendment. It's the Ninth and Tenth Amendments. Half the Bill of Rights goes down the tubes with these red flag laws. So, how does this work? Okay. We know how it works with the Second Amendment. You have the right to keep and bear arms. It shall not be infringed. Okay? Granted, loose cannons should not have guns. Equally granted, that it's going to happen sometimes. One of the things we do need to work on is not having quite so many loose cannons out there. I mean, you're talking about infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens to account for some law-breaking citizens. And by the way, no gun proposal that to date that has been proposed would have stopped any of these shootings. Let that sink in for a minute. They want to take the guns, but they wouldn't have stopped the shootings. That's amazing how the thought process goes there. Okay, we know how it works with the Second Amendment. How about the Fourth Amendment? A lot of people don't even know what the Fourth Amendment says. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. In other words, your right to due process. Having somebody complain and say, oh, that guy's a loose cannon, that's not due process. And for the government to come in to your home, search your home, seize your property, and confiscate it on a whim is a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Your right to due process. Because they've eliminated that. And don't think that, oh, well, yeah, I can prove a negative. Huh? The reason that you're innocent until proven guilty is because oftentimes it's very difficult, if not impossible, to prove a negative. Okay? It's not up to them to prove that you're nuts. It's up to you to prove that you're not nuts. That's a lot harder deal to come up with. That's why the laws were written the way they were written, to protect people from each other. Okay? So an unsubstantiated claim against a citizen, and they take your property and you have no real recourse. And even if you do manage to prove the negative and get yourself back on the side of right, that's no indication that you're going to get your property returned. That's just the way the cookie crumbles there. Okay. The Fifth Amendment specifically states, this is the Fifth Amendment, no person can be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. Well, we just talked about that on the Fourth Amendment. Now here we are talking about it again on the Fifth Amendment. You know, the founders must have thought that due process thing was really important to put it in here so often. But yeah, life, liberty, and property. And, you know, come to think of it, how much of that you're losing your property because they're confiscating your property because somebody said, because, well, for all we know, because somebody didn't like you. They're confiscating your property. They're coming for your property. Your liberty. That's half the Bill of Rights that they're violating for you, on you. And life. And I touched on this earlier. What happens after the police leave and your firearms have all been confiscated and you don't have any self-protection left? Who's tagging along behind the police on these deals? The criminals who are, you know, like, hey, wow, we can take that place easy. They took all their guns. They can't defend themselves. Yeah. You could be giving up your life too. So, yeah, that violates a lot there. Okay, the Sixth Amendment. You have to have committed a crime in order to be tried for it. I can understand the liberals not getting this because they're still talking about Donald Trump obstructing justice just because he wouldn't go along with the frame-up. But, you know, you have to actually commit a crime before you can be tried. Okay? You have to be declared mentally incompetent by a competent source before we should start talking about seizing property and taking away a person's civil liberties. So the Sixth Amendment is violated by these. The Ninth Amendment. The rights of the government cannot be used to deny the rights of the citizens. That's pretty self-explanatory. The rights of the government cannot be used to deny the rights of citizens. That Bill of Rights, those 10 things on that Bill of Rights, those are the rights of the citizens, not the government. The whole Constitution is based on the idea that government is bad. You get too much government, it's bad. That's why it specifically says in there that those rights not specifically reserved to the federal government are reserved by the people, the states and the people. There's a lot of government going on right now that violates that very rule. And of course, the 10th Amendment, I just touched on that. Authority not delegated to the federal government is reserved by the citizens. So red flag laws violate that one too. All of these points are well made, and hopefully the Supreme Court is not intimidated by the Democrats like they were in the 1930s when FDR demanded that they reevaluate the court and add more justices so as to give him a majority, because they kept ruling against his New Deal policies as unconstitutional. The court took it to heart, because it's amazing. All of a sudden, things that had been unconstitutional before were suddenly being constitutional. And I really hope that we don't run into that with our current court. So, anyway, those are the basic amendments that are being violated by these red flag laws. That's quite a few. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Till next time, from Flyover Country, this is John Robinson.